What's up, dudes and dude to the internet? My name's Scythe and we are back again for the Trove patch notes. How y'all doing today, folks? Hope you're doing fantastically wonderful, and I hope this video makes your day even better. Before we get started, we'd very much appreciate if you would hit that like button, because we're going to be giving away information rather than giving away stuff. And let me tell you, this patch is absolutely fantastic. It does have a little bit of bugs that the devs are aware of, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the patch overall is extremely well done and adds a lot of things that you wouldn't think make that much of a difference, but especially for old players like myself, it makes a huge impact on the amount of time that normally would be wasted with very meticulous things, right? So without further ado, the loot collector has been revamped. I will, I did have a preview video of this. I'll have like a more in-depth, a short, quick tutorial on how the loot collector actually works, but for all intents and purposes, you can click the card in the top right to see the preview video that kind of shows this in more detail. It's a fantastic system, absolutely great loot collector, and as near as I can tell, they've ironed out all of the, okay, never mind, they didn't iron out that bug, okay. But they've ironed out like a bunch of stuff with it, and it's just overall a lot more stable and really, really good. Absolutely fantastic. That loot collector takes the amount of time that normally would be spent loot collecting stuff down by a whole lot, right? So anyways, there is also going to be vault clubs are now actually a thing. Unfortunately, I can't show you any of these because I have all of my club slots full. However, the way that this ends up working is you just go over to a builder's crafting table, go to the club world, and then you're going to see this vault club card right here. And you're going to be able to craft that for 5,000 flux, which is a little bit pricey for most starting players. But the difference between this club and a normal club is you're not going to be able to build anything, and the club chest and the officer chest are going to have 15 extra inventory slots each. So that means that a vault club is going to have 30 more inventory slots. Now, personally speaking, I feel that this is kind of a waste of effort, you know, because they could have just easily done that with normal clubs rather than having to build a whole new system and mechanic around it. But it's okay, it's fine. You know, some people just like to build clubs for storage anyway, so it makes sense. However, it doesn't have a forge in that vault club world or anything. It just has a deconstructor and a trade system and stuff like that, which, whatever, it's okay, it's still fine. Club cards in general, this is where things get weird. Club cards in general are no longer tradable, which, okay, that's a little bit disappointing. They just keep taking away the multiplayer aspect of this game, which is trading and stuff like that. And look at this price. That's insane. This with the current price of golden souls, of course, is varying. It costs about 65k in order to actually create a club. Even golden souls, like, look at me. I've been playing this game for how long, and I only have 550 gold souls. Granted, I don't grind them, but still, that's one of the hardest resources to grind in the game, let alone 25,000k flux. I know why they're doing this, because they're trying to dissipate the amount of clubs that are being created on the server that end up being dead clubs. Personally, I would rather them just clear the cache and get rid of clubs that are a year old without any activity, or just overall make it a more managed system, you know? Like, it's just kind of strange. Now, here's something that's actually a really big deal. I don't know if I'll ever get into it, but Steam Workshop is actually a thing. So that right there, because I ended up putting out a mod video recently asking, why did they make Tmod files? Why did they even go in this direction? It's weird, it doesn't make sense, and it's not as efficient as just using a mod loader and stuff like that, right? Because there's the in-game system and blah, 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 blah. But it was all for Steam Workshop. So if you don't already know, folks, if you have Steam installed, pretty much it's the same as Trove mods in general, but a little less complicated. So it's a lot more approachable, where you can just go into the Steam Workshop, click on a mod that you like, say subscribe, and then it should just be installed in-game on your character. They also did end up adding a couple different programs that you can use to extract Tmod files and modify them and stuff. Overall, I still don't touch Tmod files because I find that it's just, like, what's the point in learning a more complex system than just using the blueprints and zip files and stuff like that anyways? So that's probably what I'm going to stick to. However, I might end up having to learn them as they slowly force us to end up getting used to it anyways, right? Then they also have, in the patch notes. They have a couple guides that they link to as well. French and German languages, so that's actually not too bad for the global chat and stuff. And the animal masks are finally in as well. These are absolutely beautiful, by the way. Let me just hop over to story mode just so I can get rid of the crowd here, go into Do Not Disturb, and show you what all these look like. These are fantastic. Like, seriously, they were designed by Twixler, which is one of the devs, and I mean, they're just great. I want more of these. Like, seriously, they are so good and so funny as well. Where's the right button? I've been playing this game for like 50 years. Where are the buttons? So, the way that you unlock these is a little bit difficult. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that'll take care of it. This game's so broken and stupid that everyone was able to join me despite being in Do Not Disturb and Hide mode. So anyways, there is the Sad Bulldog. That's what we keep calling him, or the Sad Dog. I could totally see this very easily turning into a Doge head. That would be great. There's the Furball, which is supposed to be the Samantha, but looks more like a panther or a bear. Oh Dear, which is absolutely hilarious. Like, look at that. That is just great. There's the Frog Massa I was talking about, where I actually have the lore group, which I'll talk more about that in the Trove series, but I'm going to be using a couple of these masks to kind of introduce new characters and stuff, right? So this is supposed to be an otter, again, just kind of looks like a bear. There's pigs, which we could use as a pig pirate or something. The raccoon, which just looks great. And then I guess this would be like the evil chicken. I know it's a rooster, but a rooster is essentially like a male chicken anyways, right? Or something like that. The land shark, which I'm going to be using this as like a pirate shark. And then a tiger mask. Now, that's the thing too, is a lot of these actually really remind me way back when my brother was playing this game and he was actually creating some mods and stuff like that. He was actually creating animal costumes for all of the characters. So I wonder whether or not the devs ended up taking influence from that, but I very much doubt it because it was like a million zillion years ago. Either way, he had very similar animal masks and stuff like that, right? So very cool, but they actually require Omni unlockers to actually get them. So unfortunately, this is actually one of the worst decisions that they could have made, because as much as these animal masks are beautiful, they're going to be impossible for new players to get, which really sucks, because the only way you're going to be able to really get them is by going into the vault and spending, I think it's 5,000 cubits or something like that. Yeah, 5,000 cubits for 10 super style stashes. This is an Omni style surprise. They just rename them for no reason. Or you can spend like $5 for 10 of them, or whatever the equivalent of the credits is. It's useless though. But needless to say, the reason why it's so unapproachable and impossible to get these is because in order to even, like, these are going to unlock any type of style that you don't already have. So that'll include weapons, helmets, faces, anything. And that means that in order for you to actually get these animal masks, you have to pretty much either get the most insane luck you've ever had, or you have to have every single style in the game unlocked except for the animal masks, and then use these super style stashes. So I would love it if they ended up changing that and making these something that was more approachable. Maybe throw them in the essentials pack or something like that, or maybe just put them in like a novice area, or just give them to everybody because it's like Halloween and their costumes. Like, come on, man, seriously. Because they're just awesome and I want everybody to be able to use them, right? So then there's also Shadow's Eve event is starting. So on October 28th is going to be especially spooky. Log in and receive a 9th life booster, 25 Shadow's Eve daily reward chests, and double experience all day. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? You must be extra superstitious. I guess they're gonna boost up our superstition stat a little bit more so we can see more ghosts. Oddly enough, this patch does not seem to mention that we're actually getting double XP right now until the 31st. So here's another thing to keep in mind, folks. When Saturday rolls around, depending if you have Patron, of course, you're going to get either 50 or 100%. This is going to stack on top of 100% base experience. So usually, whenever it rolls to the double XP Saturday, it should actually be 200% more experience. The last few times, unfortunately, it's been more like 150 total experience for the percentage, right? So hopefully this ends up stacking properly, in which case that's going to be absolutely insane. You have to log in and grind as much as you can, and we'll talk about why in a bit, because they've made some huge nerfs to the total amount of XP between levels 20 and 30, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So there is also this is weird. Pumpkin harvesting dungeons will now rarely appear in Cursed Vale to supplement your pumpkin income. Now that's kind of stupid because normally what happened last year and the year before that, folks, is you know those giant sunflowers that you see like in the peaceful biomes out in the world? Yeah, every other year up until this one for some weird reason, the sunflower plants were actually replaced with pumpkins. So I don't know why they ended up moving in this direction of making the game less approachable again. Because it just, you know, it sucks now because now you have to go into the gardening in order to actually craft yourself some pumpkins, and it's just impossible for new players, right? Then there is also a new dragon, which click the card in the top right. I have a tutorial on how you actually get the dragon and shows it off and everything like that. But otherwise, you can acquire the dragon egg from the new pack or buying it from the gold ships for 5,000 fragments of wonder and then crafting the dragon yourself. Or you can end up getting it rarely out of a greater dragon's cache, of course. Then there is also new to the store. There's going to be that dragon pack, which that pack is going to also, on top of having a tradable version of the dragon, it has 33 greater dragon caches, 333 dragon coins, and 3 diamond dragonite pouches. Now, this is actually a very big deal for lots of people at the end game because diamond dragonite pouches were going for like what, 500-600k? Now they're down to like 300k. So get them while you can, folks, because that is going to end up spiking up after the hype of all of this ends up dying after a while, right? And then they also have the Essentials Pack, which was the Power Pack, later renamed to the Essentials Pack and had a bigger price tag thrown onto it. So they swapped out 20,000 cubits in the pack, and instead you're going to get 50 gem booster boxes, which they say is a slight increase in the value of the pack. Even though the price didn't increase, it's still $30 American, which is insane for a lot of people. But the fact of the matter is that they swapped out so that now you're going to get the gem boosters, which is actually a lot worse because with 20,000 cubits, you could get a lot of flasks and other essential items and stuff like that. Not to mention in general, I mean, I think we can all safely say that all of the gem boosters and everything like that in this whole menu is extremely overpriced considering the value of each of these items. Like seriously, 10 lapis bugs for 750 credits, 10 lapis bugs. I can use 10 lapis bugs to get 1 level and I still won't get it at level, a gem level at 15 or 20. Like, that's just not worth it at all. I would rather have the cubits. But I guess you can't buy classes for cubits anymore anyway, so who cares? They also didn't mention, but the Tomb Razor is on sale and the Candy Barb is on sale. I wouldn't know because I already have them all, so I don't know what their prices are. Then there is also, this is a very strange update. So they have interactions. You can now interact with objects without directly targeting them. When you are near an interactable object, its tooltip will appear and you can press E to interact with it. Don't worry, you can still target objects directly. So this has been a little bit of an issue that lots of people don't really like, myself included, because they ended up making it so that, first of all, you see, even though we're hovering over the chest right there, we can't look at its tooltip and we can't activate it. Normally, you could activate the chest from probably about this distance or something like that. Now you have to be like really, really close to it. And although you can look at it and all the crafting tables all work perfectly and stuff like that, unfortunately, if you end up aiming too far away, you can see that it gets a little bit funky and a little bit weird. But the biggest thing is right now anyways, they are going to patch this, so don't worry. But right now they have it where if you're grinding dungeons, the tooltip for picking up a piece of gear is going to dominate over the exit portal of a dungeon. Now, they are prioritizing this as a fix. I ended up talking with Avram and he was saying, he's like the lead dev, and he was saying that yes, they're aware of it and they're going to try and fix it as soon as possible, but their priority right now is all of the crashes that came with this patch. Hopefully that's going to be patched sometime today. But needless to say, grinding in dungeons and stuff, you pretty much have to pick up all of the gear right now, which, honestly speaking, isn't really that big of a deal because the loot collector is so swag. Like, it's beautiful. Then they also have players and NPCs no longer get in your way of interacting with any of those crafting tables and stuff. That's a big one because that's been around since the beta days and it's sucked ever since. Battle Arena. So in the Battle Arena quick matches, you are now going to be granted class experience upon completion. It's garbage it's like 8,000 experience or something, and I don't know if that's multiplied because we're getting 100% more experience, which means that would only be like 4k XP. Don't go to PvP in order to grind. Just don't bother. Community content: the new Bone Cutter X-2 mount by Spree and Stealth 545 will soon be available. So why did they even mention it? I don't know. I'm assuming it means that next week they're gonna automatically change the Chaos Chest loot, so that it's gonna include that new mount. Probably, I don't know. Now, additional updates and fixes. This is a big one. So they've smoothed out the experience curve to level 30 and reduced the amount of experience required from level 20 to 30. So I did a bit of minor calculations and stuff like that because I like putting calculations towards time, efficiency. That's what it's all about. So pretty much the total amount of experience from level 20 to 30 was 18 mil. It's been knocked down to 11 mil, so that's actually a pretty big deal. And from what I was calculating right now anyways, if you go to hard mode Weeping Prophet, that's actually the fastest experience in the game right now, no matter where you are, because you can get about... it's something like 80,000 experience every 3 minutes, so long as you're actually killing everything fast enough, right? Time yourself, make sure that it all goes proper. So let's just say that it's 80,000, 3 minutes consistently. Now, give or take a few is gonna end up changing, of course, right? So unless I ended up calculating things wrong, that means that every 48 minutes we're gonna be gaining like 1.2 mil XP. So that's 48 minutes, right? That's close to an hour. Let's say that every, like, blah, 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 blah. Needless to say, I checked all the numbers and stuff like that, and we pretty much saved 5 hours of grinding on any character from 20 to 30. That's what the devs removed. They removed 5 hours from the total grind time. So that's 75 hours for every class in the game. That's a pretty big deal, meaning that you can actually grind up your characters from 20 to 30, like in, what is it, something like 8 hours and 25 minutes or something like that, based on that timing with the Weeping Prophet, of course. But that's also just because this week it is just arena, which is faster than having a dungeon involved. So anyways, world tool tips should now appear more quickly. Rename the style vault categories, hat style vault, mask style vault, all of that stuff, just to vault in the collections menu. To fit the redesigned loot collector. Non-tradable patron coins and daily reward chests can no longer be loot collected. Disabled loading into museum worlds. No idea what that means. I guess it just means old worlds or something. I don't know. Radiant auras no longer disappear when viewed from any angle. Fixed a bug where you couldn't invite non-friends to join you in a world. The level up text for the Chloromancer when reaching level 3 has been fixed. I guess it was broken. I don't know. Fixed overflow bug in the club UI. So that could be a big thing because usually when we're inviting people, it would say 752 members, and then it would refresh and say, nope, you're actually at max members. So, yeah. Fixed a bug where contest reward progress meter didn't show in leaderboard UI. Fixed a bug which could cause the intro video to play at the wrong resolution. What intro video? Fixed, I'm just kidding. Fixed Z fighting issue, which rendering transparent blocks underwater. That's another thing too. I don't think you can go through an exit portal of a dungeon if it's underwater right now. So hopefully that's gonna be fixed when they end up fixing the portals in general. Fix a bug where progress could be made towards event objectives before they were active. This I'm sure is got to do with the special Halloween event with the lapis bugs and the bitten kitten and stuff like that, because you could actually just have all of those quests completed if you knew what you were doing or just happened to kill like a million zillion enemies and stuff like that. Added a client tool, and see this is where they added the client tool, Trove Exec, to extract Tmod files. They also added an override option so that outputs them within an override folder, and added an option to output a YAML file that can be used to rebuild a Tmod file in the Trove Extract tool. Like seriously, that is 10 times more complicated than current modding. Like seriously, I don't know why they ended up moving forward with something like that. I wish they made it a little bit more approachable and just actually had like a proper way for modding and stuff like that. Maybe they will sometime in the future. Personally speaking, the one thing that I would love to see eventually happen in the game is maybe an in-game system for building mods, or at least a little bit of a easier way of doing it. You should also just be able to turn mods on and off on the fly without having to restart the client, but that may never end up being the case just because of code in this game. And most importantly of all, I would love to have, like, let's say we would go to the store, there would be a mods section where you could vote in-game for mods to get into the game, and if they had an automated system where it would be like, okay, so say a mod gets 500 votes, that automatically is going to get pushed to the devs. All they got to do is double check and make sure that it's not something really obscure or weird. Click yes, accept it into the game, put a credit price on it, devs get a cut, the person that ended up making the mod gets a cut, so on and so forth. But anyways, that's just dreaming. That's going way too far ahead, right? So I just want to double check. It seems like that was pretty much everything. Apparently there's going to be a candy llama and a new candy dog coming sometime soon. But the amount of XP nerf, that was actually the real big thing. And there is a lot of crashing going on, which apparently they're prioritizing and trying to get fixed sometime today. So hopefully that ends up turning out. But otherwise, that's it. So thanks for watching, everybody. I know it was a longer patch notes video, but there was actually a lot of things that were actually worth mentioning this time, and especially with grinding XP. Like, seriously, it is so much better. It is way more approachable, and you don't feel like you're not progressing, and that to me is one of the most important aspects of Trove that's been lacking for a very long time, and why most people, myself included, couldn't actually dedicate the time towards grinding, because one, it took way too long, and two, it didn't feel like I was progressing anywhere. But now it's actually great, and I'm gonna try and grind out as many classes as I can for this week until the double XP is gone. Either way, thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like. Have a fantastic day. Sayonara, and stay epic.